Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of my Greek Orthodox Odyssey with Geron Nektarios. It's Friday morning. I'm down here at Darling Harbour, heading to work. I've got about a half hour to spare, so what I thought I'd do, like I normally do, is to indulge and make the most of this now moment that I have, this eternal now that we all enjoy, and to go through a vlog that I listened to earlier in the week by an elder in Greece, a person who runs a monastery who goes by the name of Geron Nektarios, Elder Nektarios, who incidentally has his own YouTube channel of 1,000 videos or so, where he talks about things that matter from a spiritual perspective. He talks about the Greek Orthodox faith, and he goes through in great detail. He's a master communicator, and in great detail goes through and talks about elements of Christianity and shines a light and puts a spin, a different perspective on things, and clarifies it for the rest of us to be able to understand better. And the topic of discussion today, where I take his material that is expressed in Greek and I translate it and interpret it as best I can into English. So the topic of today is where he talks about a different resurrection. So today he'll talk about the resurrection of Jesus during Pascha, during Easter, and what it means to modern man. And he makes a very, very powerful and a beautiful point. Something that I absolutely love about Geron Nektarios is that he's able to crystallize things and make things magical. And he says, without a doubt, that unlike all others who came before him, unlike all the others, every single person who came before him, Jesus, whatever he said, he did, and he proved it. And his bodily resurrection on Easter Sunday was proof in itself that he indeed is God. He indeed is the second person of the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, united as one in essence, but different from each other in terms of persons and personhood. So Jesus was both 100% perfect God and 100% perfect sinless man. And he categorically said many things during his time alive in the world, as well as for the 40 days after he was resurrected. He said that in 3 days he will resurrect and raise himself, and he did. Even Thomas, the disciple, the doubtful Thomas, who doubted Jesus' resurrection, Jesus proved it to him that it was true, and even offered Thomas to touch him, which Thomas refrained from doing. He didn't have to do that because he saw him in the flesh, and he proclaimed him his Father and his God. And he didn't have to eat after his resurrection, but he sat down and ate. He talked. He appeared to over 500 people after his resurrection. He ate not because he had to eat. He ate just to prove to his disciples and to everybody that he was resurrected in spirit and in his earthly body as well. So a very powerful lesson for each and every one of us to consider and to contemplate, according to Geron Nektarios. So where does this go there? So as we say here, so for 40 days after Jesus was resurrected, he continued to appear to many and to preach to many. So it wasn't just his resurrection, but it was also his interaction with people, the disciples, and with many after he was resurrected out of the tomb. And Geron Nektarios also states quite categorically, and he says this, that if Jesus did not die and did not resurrect, what would happen? He would just be another rebel. He would just be a philosopher like Buddha, or a religious leader like Muhammad. He would not be God like Jesus is God. So the important thing to understand is that there are many religions in the world, but there is only one truth. And according to the scriptures, according to our belief, according to Geron Nektarios, Jesus is God. And that is something that makes him very, very different, very, very unique, and a great message for all of us to celebrate and to glorify. Just bear with me, I'll just put this down. I've got a heavy load today, so it's weighing me down here. So the next point that Geron Nektarios makes is where he talks about Pascha. He talks about the whole event of Pascha, and he says that the word Pascha is in Hebrew pronounced as Pesach. Pesach. And what Pesach means is the passing of darkness to light. It is the moment that the Jewish people, the Hebrew people of the Hebrew language, were freed from slavery. Back in the days when they were freed from Egypt and found and moved into the promised land. So it's a massive, a very, very big and important day, national day, that is celebrated every year amongst the Jewish people. The Passover is a very, very important and powerful event in every Jewish person's life. And interestingly enough, it coincides with the most important day in the life of a Christian as well, Pascha, the Passover, where not only did the Jews pass from darkness to light, from slavery to freedom, from Egypt Egypt to the Promised Land, they also enabled through the resurrection of Jesus for all people, not just Jews, for all people to pass from death to life, because Jesus, the God-man, descended into Hades. The moment that he died and gave up his spirit on the cross at 3 p.m. on Good Friday, and according to the Greek Orthodox, for 33 hours he descended and he spent that time in Hades, the place of emptiness, the place of darkness, the place where all souls went after the expulsion from paradise of Adam and Eve. Because man was expelled from paradise, and the gates of paradise were forever, or from that point on, protected by Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Michael, all people, through definition, were separated from God. And that separation meant that after their perishable bodies died, their souls, which always live on and always will live on, went to a place of emptiness, a place of darkness called Hades. And they were all captured there. They were all captives of the demons and of the devil, and would go to this particular place. And Jesus, when he was in Hades, flooded Hades with his uncreated light. For the first time, the souls in Hades were able to be enlightened by the light of Jesus, by the light of God, and he preached to them. Some accepted him as God, and he accepted his preachings and followed him, and yet others rejected him, continued to reject him. So what we're saying here is that Passover for the Jews, Pesach for the Jews, and the resurrection, or Pascha, for the Christians, is a very important transitional crossover time where the whole world was redefined at that moment, redefined in a powerful, positive way, where death was conquered forever and ever, so that not only were the souls of people released from Hades, but there was also an introduction, an invitation for people's bodies to be reunited with their souls at the second coming, and to once again re-enter paradise, or for those who are judged in an unfavourable way, they will spend the rest of their days, body and soul, in a place other than paradise, which to many is defined as and said to be hell. So just like the Jews crossed over to a physical promised land, the promised land that God promised Abraham and his descendants, but Moses was unable to cross over to the promised land because of these people's bad behaviour. So too all people, all men and all women of all faiths have the ability to cross over to paradise following the resurrection. So why was Jesus in Jerusalem at that particular time? I guess is the important point. Why was Jesus in paradise? why was Jesus in Jerusalem during that particular time? And it was deliberate, because they moved to Jerusalem because it was the Passover of the Jews. Morning. How you going, brother? It was the Passover of the Jews. It was a week of the Passover. And they killed Jesus the day prior to the Saturday, to the Passover Saturday. And they buried him, and he stayed in Hades for 33 hours, as I mentioned before, and was resurrected on the Sunday, the day after the Passover week. So it's interesting and very powerful in terms of how it coincides, the Jewish Passover, the Jewish Pesach, with the Christian Passover, the Christian Easter. It's interesting to know and to learn that the Jewish Passover keeps for 1 week. Even to this day, when the Jews celebrate their Passover, it's a weekly event, just like the Pascha for the Greek Orthodox and for the Christians is a weekly event. You've got Palm Sunday, Easter Monday, Easter Tuesday, Easter Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on the next day, the 8th day, we have the resurrection. We have the Pascha, which is really, really powerful. The other important thing is that no other leader has said that they are the light, they are the way, they are the road, they are the one, they are the bread of life, they are life and the resurrection. Only Jesus is the one who said he is everything as he is everything. And that's why in the Greek Orthodox icons, on his halo, Jesus has the words or on, which is the one who is, he who is. And not only did he say it, not only did Jesus claim it, but he actually did it, and he's fulfilled it for all people, as I mentioned before, and not just the Jews. Jesus also said that he's the one who created and shaped mankind, created Adam, created Eve. And the interesting thing is that unlike all other gods, all other demigods or pretend gods, gods where people actually sacrificed things for, Jesus, our God, the second person of the Holy Trinity, actually sacrificed himself, his son, himself, for each person, for all mankind, which is, once again, something unique and extremely important and powerful. The other interesting thing that Geron Nektarios talks about in his blog is that unlike Jesus, who has a bloodline which goes back to David, to Adam and Eve, but also a uniting and a unity with God the Father. Most other, if not all other, leaders or leaders of faith, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, and all others, not very many of them or none of them talk about their parents, because the parents don't really have a good story to talk about. So I think I'll leave it there. Once again, I humbly enjoy the opportunity to talk about these sorts of topics, and all I'm doing is trying to be, as best I can, an emissary a messenger who's been able to take the message of Geron Nektarios and translate it as best I can using my intermediate Greek and my English to try and shape a message, but to pass it on to people who don't have the ability to hear Geron Nektarios in Greek and understand his Greek. And the other benefit I can also bring to communities is that through YouTube and artificial intelligence, because I'm translating and delivering this vlog in English, there is a possibility for people to be able to watch the scripting of what I am saying in 16 other languages. So they can watch it in Arabic, they can watch it in Hindi, they can watch it in Italian, in French. And there are just so many languages that artificial intelligence and YouTube are able to leverage to make this message much more accessible by many more people. Anyway, Christos Anesti, to all my friends and family, wishing you all the best on this Friday. I think it's the second Friday after Pascha, Good Friday. And wishing you a happy day. Yassas, take care, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.